Yo, what's happening everybody? King GBL here, and welcome back to some Go Battle League. Today in Fossil Cup, I decided to use something quite fun here. We're going to be using Perserker with close combat. As you're about to see in this first game, the opponent ends up going for a pop. Now, because I swapped into the Lantern, the opponent assumes I'm on Trailblaze foul play, but however, we're going to go straight for the big close combat. Absolutely one-shotting Lucario. The opponent said, "Close combat me daddy," and I did. In comes Polly, and we've successfully RPS'd the opponent here. We have the Fireforn for the Lantern. I'm using Pop on this just because it's Shadow. This is a newly built Shadow from the Team Rocket event. It's not a very insanely good IV one, it's like a 10 attack or something, but it goes up to 1500 CP, which from raids honestly is good enough for me. The opponent does make a nice catch here, but this game is just absolutely over. We've gotten them so low with the Shadow Poly that we can basically come in here. I think I do go for a slight undercharge here to try and commit with energy, but this game at this point is going to be won by fast moves. We're going to farm all the way up here. The opponent might get off another move here. We just about outpaced them here. We're back-to-back power whips. And the opponent kind of is forced to shield at this point. A very unfortunate situation for them. If they shield once, they have to shield twice, and, you know, we're just going to take out the Lantern anyway. In comes Polly here. At this stage, we can commit to fast moves. The opponent recognizes that, and top lefts. Welcome back to the channel, guys. I hope you all have been keeping well. It's been around 2 weeks since I uploaded. The reason I've not uploaded for the last 2 weeks, roughly, is because I've been quite sick a few times. During the last 2 weeks especially, I've probably been sick for more than a week out of the last 2. Also, I've been quite busy with some other stuff outside of Pokemon Go, so I've not really been able to upload around my normal time here. That coupled with the fact that Fossil Cup, it's just kind of boring. That's kind of why I've not been uploading. Definitely, I'm looking forward to having open leagues back next week. We've opened Great League, Open Ultra League, and we do have the Go Battle event. Now, the funny thing is for me is being in Japan, I am about, typically, let's say, 12 to 16 hours ahead of the US. I get the battle event, you know, quite early, meaning that I have 100 battles to do in Fossil Cup, which I mean, there's no fucking hope in hell. There's not a fucking hope in hell you're gonna catch me doing 100 battles in this. I can barely get through 25. I would have to say that this cup is probably the worst meta that I have ever played in Go Battle League. You guys can actually, I guess we'll do a question of the day here. Today's question is, what is the worst meta, and even the best meta as well? Let me know your favourite and your worst metas in Go Battle League. I think my favourite meta has been Great League Remix. Probably not this season's one, it was a little bit worse this season I found. Certainly last season's Great League Remix was very, very fun. Very balanced, I thought. This season, it wasn't quite as good, in my personal opinion, although I did climb a lot in that cup, and I believe I hit Legend in the Great League Remix. This season was actually my quickest time ever hitting Legend, and that wasn't Remix. However, I do think last season's was a little bit better. As for the worst one, I can't think of many cups that have been worse than this one, to be completely honest with you guys. Fantasy Cup a few seasons ago was kind of bad, but I didn't feel like it was quite as RPS as this is. This is just the most hard RPS cup that I've played so far. In this match here, we do swap into the Perserker. Of course, the Lantern lead very bad for my Poly, especially because I'm Shadow. We go for the close combat, the opponent respects it, unfortunately. The opponent gets here something like, I can't remember, like 10 counters or something. They're going to make it to 2 dynamic punches, which is super rough. The one thing I did quite like about Shadow Poly is these counters are absolutely tearing through them. So if I just shield another dynamic punch, which I'm hoping the opponent full sends here, they do, I should be able to counter it the whole way down. I do come out with a lot of energy, and if it's something that's not horrible, which actually is Galissapod, I might have a chance here because I debuff them with this, come into my Fireforn, and thankfully the opponent is just so weak to this. Because I Icy Winded them, they're pretty much in range for a Power Whip. I am expecting the opponent to go for a catch here as well, so I just go straight Power Whip. This won't quite knock them out. They will go for a swap here, and this is just basically curtains. In my humble opinion, it's quite hard to run these two in the same team. You would think it makes sense because Galissapod walls Mud Boys and does very well into Poly, which, you know, of course Lantern is an answer to Poly as well. Poly up energy was scary enough for them not to come into Lantern, but if you ever get a shields down situation like this, having Lantern and Galissapod, something like a Fireforn just absolutely cooks you. Now we do get a CMP sack swap here. This pop should take them out. The Galissapod I think could make a move, but they're like, yeah, 1 HP. Not really a whole lot they can do at that point. Good game well played there. It was looking very RPS, but thankfully the Algo Giveth, the backline was not too RPS for us, and we can hop into the next one. The Algo Giveth once again. The Algo Giveth once again. Reggie lead, they come into an Escavalier. So I'm pretty fine to stay in here. Any sort of fighter safe swap is kind of awkward for this team because you're basically forced to stay in. Of course, they're not going to come into Lucario, but they can come into their own Polyref. They can come into this here now, and we're going to see what they come into. I'm ready to swap out at this point. I'm pretty much looking to go into Perserker right away because if they come into Reggie again, they'll basically be forced to shield close combats. I was anticipating a Mantine or Jelly, Mantine versus Perserker, it's pretty fine for Mantine. 2 foul plays will more or less knock it out with Shadow Claws, and the opponent does come back into Reggie here, so I'm going to farm all the way up here. No need to overfarm because like it's not like they're going to lock on me down. I died at 1 Focus Blast anyway. They do take the close combat, and that's just absolute GG's. Very nice timing by the opponent. They throw just before I get to the next move, but because I'm using Shadow Poly, I definitely can counter this down in 5. No matter what, guys, if Reggie builds up to 100 energy, they're always, at the very worst, 10 turns away from the move. So basically a Registeel, they can store up to 20 lock-ons. It costs them, let's say 15 for the Focus Blast, 16 for the Zap Cannon, which means that if they throw a move, they'll be on 5 lock-ons. So that gives them 10 turns at the absolute maximum to get to the move. So if you're using a 2-turn move, you can always do 5 in the Reggie if they build up to 100. If you're using like a 3-turn move, you can do free and throw. I just knew that I probably could counter it down in 5, so I didn't have to throw the move. That worked out perfectly for me here. And this gets awkward right here. I decided to shield the first Shadow Ball because it does get awkward, and also my Ferrothorn does very well into their lead. They come back in here with the Togedemaru. I was expecting this to roughly 2-shot them, but to my surprise that does slightly less than half. I was expecting that to do about 50% or more. The opponent gets rid of me here, and I do make a bit of a mistake in this match, I think. The opponent was too off a move there. They're wild charged, of course, so they basically were going to just get eviscerated by Shadow Poly. I shield the Water Pulse here. Now, you do live that move, but what I was thinking the opponent might do is, of course, just start going for earliest after landing it, which would have been a little bit awkward. I think what I needed to do was keep the shield, because as you see here, the opponent is making it to the second Water Pulse, but all they can actually do, all they have to do, is just come in with this. Whenever they left, they had free Thunder Shocks, so all the opponent has to do is shield this move, and basically build up to back-to-back. Unfortunately, I'm unable to catch a move on Poly, but even if I did, it wouldn't have made a difference. We end up seeing Ping in the pop. That one counter done so much damage, but yeah, that's GG's. I think the opponent was already at the move. They didn't have to go for the extra one there, but GG's. I think my best shot was just a no-shield. We did get a 4-1 first set, which is pretty cool. This week I've been just kind of trying out different stuff. I've been using some stuff in Master League, so I've tanked down quite a lot. I'm not too worried about my elo currently, and we do have the Go Battle week coming up, so I'm definitely happy enough just to tank down, not have to worry about queue times. I don't really have any intentions of pushing leaderboards for the rest of the season, so I don't really have any sort of goals at the minute. I was thinking about hitting 3,500 this season, but I just think with the cups that we've had, and honestly, if you have a look at the leaderboards right now, the leaderboard positions are so low compared to normal. Normally around this point in the season, people are really well up close to 3,500. There's only 2 weeks left. I guess I could take a quick look at them, but the last I checked, the bottom of the leaderboard is still like 3,100. I think we've seen this season the results of Niantic's incompetence in terms of player count. I think a lot of people are just skipping weeks here and there. Yeah, so the top of the leaderboards currently is 3,400. So that would mean like I would have to get pretty much rank 1 in the world to get 3,500 at this current time. I'm not really interested in it. It definitely is still a goal of mine to hit 35, but this is definitely not the season to do so. We should hopefully have a more interesting season next season because with Worlds being finished... Oh, look at that close combat, by the way. The opponent decides to call it. Absolutely destroys the Reggie. But Worlds will be finished after next week, and of course the season's ending in roughly 2.5 weeks, so we should be getting some big move updates. Once again here, you're seeing the fighter safe swap. You just have to stand against it. Because it is Sand Slash, this is more awkward, because yeah, we don't really have like the greatest fast move pressure against it with anything, so this is definitely awkward. I'm thinking the opponent most likely has like a Mantine or a Jelly in the back, so the only thing I can really try to do here is just keep my Poly alive, go down a shield, see what they come into. If it's like a Mantine or Jelly, swap it into Perserker, and just try to get off close combats on the slash if they come back. So right here, I decided to let this move go. Of course, a Drill Run would do a lot more damage, and back in comes Sand Slash again. Wasn't expecting them to swap this quickly. I get up to back-to-back close combats. The opponent CMPs me here on an Ice Punch. Because I've debuffed myself, they actually let the move go, which is hilarious. By the way, guys, a resisted close combat is more than a neutral foul play, so if you can ever go for that, just go for that instead. I come in with Poly, try to force them to throw. The opponent is obliged, of course not wanting to get permanently debuffed for the rest of the match, and in comes Ferrothorn. I decide just to shield the first move. I sort of like, whenever I first entered this match, thought I probably just have to try and farm them down, but the health range they were at kind of looked a bit awkward. Now having thrown a move, I realise, yeah, I just kind of have to commit to the farm down here. Free aces will definitely knock me out, so I basically need to Bullet Seed down in the time it takes them to get to free aces, which by the looks of things, it's going to be very, very close. I think 2 or 3 Bullet Seeds should knock out here. yeah, it takes the free bullet seed, so the opponent actually dies with the move. So throwing the power whip almost cost me there, but good games anyway. If I wanted to optimize a little bit better that last match, definitely throwing the close combat on the Mantine makes it a bit easier, or of course not throwing a power whip at all. In this lead, I just like to throw the pop straight away, get myself ramped up. They can go for Icy Wind, Dynamic Punch, whatever they want. 99% of the time they go for Icy Wind, but you still shield it because you're Shadow. If they land the Icy Wind, it gets really hairy, and I think they can make it to the point where they can just basically flip it. So I just shield the Icy Wind, try to commit to the farm down. Poly Double Steal is a pretty common sort of team comp at this point. I decided to let this go, just because I've gotten them so low, and I figure if it is Double Steal, Perserker goes crazy, and they come into a Jellicent. So we have super effective Shadow Claws, we have the super effective Foul Play, so I'm thinking like this has to be like a Reggie in the back. I go for a 1-in swap here, trying to catch a potential Shadow Ball. The opponent here is a baiting Billy. I just came up with that on the spot, and in comes their own Fairthorn. So here we have the most entertaining, exciting, thrilling match in Go Battle League history here. The opponent farms up to the Thunder. We're going to let it go. We're going to call that they full send here. The opponent does full send the Thunder. They do go for the nuke. The opponent goes for the nuke. I guess the only information I can give you in this matchup here is you go straight Thunder. It gets to a certain point sometimes where you should just go double power whip, so keep that in mind. And if you're using Flash Cannon, you win the mirror. So those are like some, I don't know, interesting or not very interesting details about this matchup. I decided to swap out here, go for the move. Because I got the 1-turn swap, I think they get a bullet seed sneak there, which is quite unfortunate. I think I fucked this match up here. I should have shielded this here, forced the Jellicent to throw the energy on me, because now, like, this is just not a farm down that can happen. Jellicent versus Fairthorn is a CMP win for Jellicent typically. I tap on the move expecting them to go for the aggro swap. If you have an attack weighted Fairthorn, you can win that CMP, but typically Jelly wins it. So how I win that match is basically by shielding the move from Jelly on the Perserker, forcing them to snipe, farming down the Jelly with my Fairthorn, and then just going for a move on their Fairthorn. But because I let my Pokemon go, they could just Pokemon go, boom boom ch. Because I let my Pokemon go, boom boom ch. They were basically just able to overwhelm me with 2 Pokemon, whereas of course I was trying to like commit to some sort of a farm down, or like I'm still forced to throw moves, so it was very awkward. We shielded Dynamic Punch here. Typically, if you ever just take swap against this, you swap out, I bank a pop, and I draw out their Fairthorn. Once again, guys, the most interesting, exciting, invigorating, fucking boring match that you've ever seen in your entire life. We've got these 2 tin cans just thundering each other here. Absolutely sensational stuff here. So glad that we've got this cup for 2 weeks. I guess I could touch on that topic a little bit because I kind of brushed over it, but Niantic are just absolute clowns, dude. This season has been, you know, I think probably one of the worst seasons they've ever done. The 2-week metas are just ridiculous at this point. We had Fantasy Cup for 1 week. I definitely would have preferred 2 weeks of Fantasy over 2 weeks of this absolute garbage. And once again, we're getting the 2nd week of RPS meta lined up onto a Master League week. The amount of people who are just not playing this game currently is craziness. Even at like 26 to 2800 elo, which typically is very good for queue times at this point in the season, I see myself waiting for a minute for matches sometimes. People are genuinely just not playing the game. Of course, we've had all of the lag issues with 1-turn bring-in. We've had all of the frame drops, stutters. Like, I had to buy a fucking iPhone for this game. It's getting to that point, like, when you literally have to buy an iPhone to play this game because your decent Android doesn't work, or whenever you have people with S24 Ultras, the best Android phone that you can possibly get, not working, and the game still lags like shit. I don't know, there's definitely some sort of a problem. So I feel like that, on top of them not doing move updates this season, because they of course done a couple of move updates, right, but nothing substantial. I don't know exactly how many people are going to Worlds, but let's call it 200 people. So for the sake of those 200 people, Niantic decided to sacrifice an entire season. You know, from the beginning of the season to Worlds, it's roughly like 2.5 months. So in my personal opinion, if these players are unable to learn a meta within 2.5 months, or if that would be such a big problem for them, which I don't think it would be, by the way, this is not directed at the players whatsoever, but like, if 2.5 months is not long enough to learn a meta, I just don't think that's correct. Like, I mean, look at these cops, bro. Within a week, we have these matchups worked into a science. Realistically, within Go Battle League, especially in Worlds competitor scenes, like, there's only like 20 Pokemon that people use. The meta gets boiled down. 2.5 months of scrimming and playing Open Great League and, you know, doing all these tournaments that people do and stuff. Like, that's definitely long enough to learn a meta. So I just think, why are Niantic not doing updates for this season just because of that? It's just absolute insanity. And I do think also that whenever it comes to competitive Pokemon Go, it's quite a big viewer experience. By the way, the opponent full sends an Earthquake here, that's the only reason I win this game. I think had they done double Mud Bomb, they would have taken both the Perserrker and the Fairforn out there. I think Worlds coming up is just a bad excuse not to do move updates. And again, from a viewer perspective, people are going to be more interested in watching Worlds if the meta is actually interesting. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. We got back-to-back 4-1s here with Perserrker. Had a pretty rough time. I was running the Poly League with a different team. Just kept running into Lanturns. That's just kind of what you're going to find with this cup. You'll run into some kind of rough stuff here and there. You'll get very bad RPS patterns, but at least we managed to have a little bit of fun with Perserrker. We only have a few more days of this cup left, and then we'll of course have the open leagues for 2 weeks. Definitely very excited for the move updates. If you want to see what the rumours are, I think Yonk has showcased what he thinks the updates might be. They've done basically a post during one of, I think it was Inadequate who was presenting a stream, I'm not sure exactly where it came from, but they said that the Pokemon that you'll get in research will be useful for next season. So there are some rumours of things like Rollout getting buffed, Pokemon like Pangoro, Wigglytuff is rumoured to get buffed again, which is quite hilarious if you think about it. Stuff like Chestnut, Drapion. So that could be quite interesting. I think they really need to like really rethink this meta. And I think they do need to start adding some new Pokemon back in from the Galarian region and Paldea, which I do think we're going to see a lot of Galarian Pokemon and probably Galarian starters next season. So maybe it'll be quite interesting. I just think this notion that Niantic has that they can just sacrifice an entire season and just hope that players are going to just stick around. I think it's very, very naive and silly of them to do that, but I've made a whole video talking about this, so I'm not really going to get too much further into it, but thanks everybody for watching, really appreciate it. If you enjoyed today's discussions, the teams, if you enjoyed just hanging out here for the 15-16 minutes here, do drop a like in the video, subscribe, very much appreciated. Big thank you for all the support, and hopefully, as the week goes on, I might upload once or twice more, and I certainly will be uploading some stuff for Great League next week, especially with the 100 battles per day. I'll be just trying out a bunch of different teams and having a bit of fun with it, but thanks everybody, take care, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll catch you all next time.